Arena recently got a relatively large update that also coincided with a wipe, resetting everyone's rank and preset progressions back to pretty much zero. And with the update came some large changes to the presets, how you unlock them, and how they are divided up between themselves. While I won't be going into the specific details of the patch notes, I'll leave a link for that in the description if you want to read them for yourself. After playing the new version of Arena, things don't feel like they're headed in the right direction for some elements of this game mode. There are plenty of changes that were positive, removing grenades from pretty much all the classes and adding them to the world level, allowing players to funnel their experience towards a specific preset they want to unlock, and being able to use any preset within that respective class, standardizing the medication each preset has so at the very least everyone's got painkillers. These were important changes to help rein in the power of each preset. But the problems with Arena go deeper than just number tweaks and adjusting the equipment on offer for a particular preset. As badly as I and many others want Arena to be successful and a fun, faster paced alternative to regular Tarkov, I fear as though Tarkov was never truly meant to be an arena-style shooter. Some people might immediately say, well, no shit, of course, the writing was on the wall. And you're kind of right, but I had hopes deep down that BSG would find an interesting way to bring the slower, more methodical gameplay of Tarkov to a faster-paced environment. And so far, it doesn't feel like they understand the root issues with trying to artificially speed up Tarkov. There's still time to figure it out, and their roadmap is substantial enough that we might get there eventually, but let's go over why, fundamentally, Tarkov's Arena might never get where the player base as well as BSG hopes to get it. At the core of both normal and Arena Tarkov, both games suffer from the same problems, the ones that have perpetuated for years now, and those are netcode and sound. These two issues alone prevent either version of Tarkov from feeling like an actual video game sometimes. They take you out of the experience and create nothing but confusion and frustration. On your screen, you hit a guy 8 times with your gun, but when you watch the kill cam in Arena, you maybe hit him once or twice. What makes this worse is if you're able to see both perspectives during that fight, the kill cam ends up telling a third story. So you have 3 different perspectives, none of which really line up correctly. It makes dying from something that wasn't a one-tap make you suspicious of the whole game, and not even in the cheater way of being suspicious. You begin to question everything about the game, and it usually is just a downward spiral into loathing the existence of the thing you once loved and enjoyed. BSG have had plenty of time to isolate, adjust, and hopefully fix these problems. I don't know how difficult it would be to do so, but obviously it isn't a walk in the park. But we're coming up on almost 8 years of actual development time for this game. Something needs to change for the better, enough that every player can feel the difference. We've gone up and down and up and down, but if we don't stay up in terms of the overall game feel, people are not going to want to play it. I mean, that's kind of the case right now. Yes, we got some valuable changes, but at the same time, this reset was 1 step forward and maybe 2 or even 3 steps back. Presets are another example of this idea. On paper, dividing the presets into tiers makes sense. Now with basically levels 1, 2, and 3 for presets, there is less ambiguity about where they might sit in terms of how powerful they are compared to one another. The number value for each preset makes more sense, even if it's still arbitrary in the grand scheme of things. My guess is once you have higher tiers unlocked, you might be able to queue into certain tiers specifically. So if you only want to use tier 2 kits, you can queue up just for those. I don't know for certain if that's how it actually works. This is just a guess and honestly more of a hope. However, there is a nasty side effect to this new tiered system. Now, if you want to use tier 2 kits, you need to unlock 5 tier 2 presets under a certain class. So, 5 Assault, 5 CQB, 5 Scout, or 5 Marksman. Again, this is how I think it works. It could be 5 across all the classes, but I doubt that because another new caveat is that there are no duplicates of the same preset on one team. So if you're working your way down the assault tree and someone takes the kit you normally use, well, screw you, go use something else. This also just blows my mind. The lack of foresight in the early game where everyone is trying to use the same thing because we have nothing unlocked yet because we just started playing. At the very least, allow duplicates of tier 1 kits because it's tier 1. The presets are usually garbage, so who cares if we get the same preset on a team? It also raises the amount of time to grind out all the requirements to go up a tier. It doesn't feel like that because XP requirements have been lowered initially, but then level out to something that's similar to what it was before the most recent reset. You need to do this for every class. So, the grind for good Assault, Scout, CQB, and Marksman presets have gotten so much longer. My hope since day one of knowing Tarkov was going to get an arena-style shooter was to hopefully see some innovation with the idea of round-based gameplay with the ability to purchase weapons and equipment a la Counter-Strike and Valorant. I genuinely believe in the deepest parts of my soul that Tarkov could make this gameplay loop work, with how much they offer for weapons, grenades, armors, helmets, everything else. The cost of items would probably be the part that get adjusted the most, but that's fine. Starting with pistols, earning money, and then working your way up the weapon power creep. Shotguns, SMGs, rifles, everything in between. They would have to do something similar to Counter-Strike 2 where you get a weapon wheel and are allowed to select a certain number of guns instead of just having access to everything because Tarkov has just too many guns for that to work effectively. Having an economy to earn and spend money on attachments too, it would be so killer. Again, the sheer number of items could make it a little messy, but that's why you have people select a certain number of weapons and then those weapons have specific attachments available to them. So for example, let's say one of the guns you want to choose is the MP5. The MP5 isn't going to have something like a voodoo for an optic on offer. It's going to have a few red dots, a couple foregrips, maybe a suppressor, and that's about it. But you get to choose each of those from what you want to buy while in game, and assuming you either don't die or drop that gun for something else. I suppose that's another wrinkle in the equation, picking up a gun you don't have in your weapon wheel so you can't modify it, but in all honesty, I kind of like that idea. It's similar to in-raid normal Tarkov, where you pick up a slain PMC's gun and try to get out with it using someone else's setup. It shows a degree of adaptability and being able to compromise with what someone else made even if you don't like it. But this could just be me speaking, I'm sure others would probably hate this idea. As a whole, Arena did some right and a lot wrong with this update. I have spent dramatically less time playing Arena this go around versus when it initially released. The gameplay loop just doesn't feel good to play anymore. It takes too long, people constantly don't accept or dodge the queue, so you end up hearing that goddamn guitar riff 3 or 4 times before you get to load into a game, and then someone disconnects, so now you get sent back, and it screws up your lobby, so you gotta restart the game and invite your friends again, and it's such a first world problem thing. It really is, but with how much BSG leaned into Arena and it working right out of the box, with this many problems and people leaving it to go play something else, I wonder if it was even worth it for Arena to exist in the first place. I'm glad it does, but damn, now we have 2 half-baked games. Yes, a different team and division of BSG worked on Arena, but even still, this isn't where I was expecting things to be, and it sucks. I hope this roadmap can solve many of the issues players have with Arena, because again, on paper, if everything works correctly, it's genuinely an awesome experience and a way to improve at combat in normal Tarkov. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Let me know in the comments your thoughts and impressions about Arena in general, and be sure to subscribe for more videos about a game mode that hopefully isn't abandoned and dead by the end of the year. I hope to see you in future ones.